Your dogs and cats are part of the family, of course, so you want to take them along often when you celebrate the holidays or head out of town. But you have to be prepared if you need to fly, say, or tackle a long road trip. So our partners over at Family Circle are sharing some tips for making traveling with your fur baby a little smoother. Here's Tess.
The holiday season is especially busy when it comes to travel, so it all comes down to preparing and planning.
Making your reservation, make sure to specify from the start that you are flying with an animal in a carrier to make sure that you are able to do so.
And your pets need to be up to date on all of their vaccinations.
Health records. You need to make sure that your animal is fully vaccinated, not just for the things that it might encounter where you live, but for the place where you're going.
Before booking a hotel, make sure they can accommodate your furry friend. And in case of an emergency, have your veterinarian on speed dial.
Also important to know where local veterinary services are. God forbid you should need them, but if you need them, it's important to know where they are so that you can find them quickly, which is why it's also important to have all of those health records of your pet with you, because that will be important for that veterinarian to see.
It's almost time to go, but before heading out the door, be sure to stock up on food.
Make sure you have an ample supply of your pet's food, as well as any medications they might take.
If you're making a long road trip, it's also a good idea to plan the exact stops you're gonna make, so you know exactly where your pet can do their business.
It should be stress-free, which we already know that it isn't, but the care of your pet shouldn't be something that stresses you out. If traveling with your pet is going to freak you out, if it's going to make it more stressful, leave your pet in the care of a professional. If bringing your pet with you is going to give you greater joy and is going to expand the most wonderful part of your holiday season, then bring your pet with you.
It's Tess Raffles, Arizona's Family.
Oh, that is some cute video. Speaking of cute, look, we've got some gorgeous canines in studio today. Joining me now is master trainer and co-founder of Kinetic Canine, Nicole Johnson, with more do's and don'ts of traveling with the pets this holiday season and really any time of year. But the pressure is on because, you know, you've got to be somewhere, things are busy, maybe you're running late, and oftentimes you're like, oh my goodness, I don't need one more headache. So what do you say is absolutely something to keep in mind when you're taking your dates?
Anytime that you want to take your pets to travel, I like to tell people if you're going to be on the road, you want to make sure that you have plenty of food for them, that way you're not switching their food. You want to make sure that they're in a crate, that way whenever you're driving, they're in a safe spot.
Okay.
I like to tell everyone here at Kinetic Canine, we prepare dogs by getting them ready for environmental. You want your dog to be well behaved on a leash.
Right.
You want them used to sounds, sights, walking in crowds, and all those sorts of things.
The food you mentioned right away is so important because you take them someplace, maybe you're visiting family, grandma thinks they're being so sweet by giving them all of these treats, or, you know, there's human food falling around, they're around little kids, whatever. That can really make for a disaster.
Yes, last thing you want is for your dog to have an upset stomach in a strange place while you're on a vacation.
What about the stress? I mean, we imagine that they always want to be with us and they appreciate going on a trip, but can you compare that benefit to maybe the stress of travel for a dog?
You know, I like to tell people if your dog hasn't been properly trained, if they're not used to crowds, if they're not used to the traveling, if they're not used to all that kind of chaotic environment, sometimes it's best to just leave your dog at a boarding facility or with a pet sitter. Here at Kinetic Canine, we have a lot of dogs that come to our boarding facility during the holiday seasons as well.
Okay, yeah, because it is a lot going on and you can't always control the environment as well as you might like, right? And what I have experienced in my house at least is over the years things change. So my dog is about 15 years old and while he used to love to go everywhere and be very easy to travel with, now everything is very disorienting and kind of unpredictable with him.
Yes, some dogs are comfortable staying at home and some like to go travel with you. It really just depends on the dog. I like to tell people a few tips and tricks to know if your dog's travel ready. Can they go out in public and walk politely on a leash? Are they barking at people? Are they trying to rush up and greet strangers or jump up? Any of those things, etc.
Nicole, we've just been transported to an aircraft right now, so I imagine these two dogs that you have are too big to go into the cabin. What advice do you have if you're flying and you're going through that whole crate thing?
Yes, it's always best to check your airline's regulations. Dogs this size are too big to go in cabin unless they're a service dog, which these dogs are not. If your dog is less than 10 pounds, typically they can fit in a little Sherpa under the seats, and if not, you can always ship them cargo under the plane.
Okay, and is that very hard on the animals, have you found, or they can?
It's usually typically a little bit better to leave them boarding than shipping them cargo. That's just my opinion. So.
Okay, so holiday season, we can spread the love. And what do you think, last thing about what if somebody's going to get a new pet for the holidays?
That I always tell people, make sure that you do a lot of research, whether you're buying from a breeder or whether you're going with a rescue. Anytime if you're looking at a new pet and you want a trainer's opinion, it's always good to maybe get a trainer to look at, make sure that dog's a good pick for your family
Good idea.
for long term.
And then invest in the education.
Yes,
Don't be a school dropout like we were. I regretted that, but now. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And where do we find Kinetic Canine?
You can find us at kinetic-canine.com, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or give us a call.
Thank you, Nicole.
No problem.